जयपुर वाया कोटा
कृपया ध्यान आपो अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
Lucknow Junction.
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವ ರೈಲು
Hyderabad Superfast Express পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন कृपया ध्यान दियो
It wasn't quite the last ball thriller that we've become so used to in the recent past in this tournament, but it did go down to the final over. 32 left, 6 balls remaining. The odds were heavily stacked against Kolkata, but with Rinku Singh in the middle, there was still hope. We were still hoping, but unfortunately, that fairy tale wasn't to be, or wasn't to be for a second time. KKR chasing a very lofty total of 229 that Hyderabad put up primarily because of Harry Brook, who hit an unbeaten 100 of 55 balls only. Well supported by Aiden Markram, who scored 50 of 26 balls, and Abhishek Sharma at the end with a handy cameo. Kolkata, in response, falling only 23 runs short. Nitish Rana playing a captain's innings, 75 of 41 balls. Rinku Singh, as I mentioned, yet again, firing with the bat, 58 not out of 31 balls. Mike Markande, impressive yet again for Hyderabad, picking up 2 wickets, conceding only 27 runs. I'm Anubhav Jain. You're watching Cricbuzz Live with me, Lisa, Polly. Lisa, chasing 229. They fell short, but a very valiant effort.
Yeah, I think actually it was a good batting display. I mean, few people didn't fire, but Nitish Rana, the skipper, fired, Rinku Singh. And importantly for them, even though they did lose, they got very close. So when we start to talk about net run rate, which is always an issue come the back end of the tournament, this loss won't be a heavy one given how many runs they leaked. So there's some really good positive signs for them from a batting perspective that Kolkata can certainly take out from this game.
Absolutely. Lots of positives for them. Polly, a Friday night thriller, we could call it that, an entertaining affair yet again.
Yeah, it was plenty of good batting, wasn't there? I suppose the concern for Kolkata is the fact that they've gone for over 200 twice. Now, when you think of Nareen basically going at 6 and over, the rest of the guys are travelling. So also the nature of the surface, I think going forward, they'll hope that it's a bit more spinner friendly so that they can really work their magic and build their pressure. But yeah, it's good signs from everyone in their order, except maybe the guys at the top, are getting contributions. So they've all found a little bit of form, and you got your 36, your 75, your 58. We can't help but sing Rinku's praises. I mean, he keeps producing every time he gets out there. Keeps smashing it to all parts.
Sorry, such a good
Stop!
one.
You'll start coughing again.
I think
Stop it.
Polly's on a roll with his jokes.
No, just let it go, let it go.
Let it ride, yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned Rinku Singh. Why not start with him? He was the hero in the last match. Nearly pulled it off again. But there's just something different about him, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And it's something that Polly and I were talking about in the green room, is that probably 3 or 4 years ago, that low full toss, which was the error ball potentially for the Yorker, that was still effective, right? And I know Nitish Rana got out to maybe a little bit higher, shouldn't. But now we're seeing guys, low full toss, Mahendra Singh Dhoni was a prime example as well the other night, just being able to splay it and still hit it for 6, flat sixes.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a huge difference in IPL over the last few years, that guys are practicing that, and that no longer is an okay delivery. That's getting punished. So that's why we're seeing big scores being chased right at the back end, because the pressure really is on the bowling group, not necessarily the batters. The batters shouldn't be chasing down those ridiculous amount of runs. But guess what? If they miss, they're strong enough, powerful enough, and have practiced enough range hitting to be able to get sixes galore, and then all of a sudden the pressure's so much back onto the bowler. So I think that's been the change, and that's why we're seeing some wonderful chases.
Exactly. But even with copious amounts of practice under your belt, the fact that one player can do this consistently and make it a habit of doing this at the death is very commendable, right? You do it once, you call it a one-off, but when you do it more than once, then there's something special about you.
It is confidence, though. I mean, we always talk about it's the extra club in the bag. It's the real difference between whether you're successful at the top level or not. And he'll be walking around on air at the moment. He'll be thinking, give me a challenge. And in fact, he wants to face the challenges where he needs 20 or so off the last few overs, because he believes he can be the hero. And it's a nice space to be in. I mean, there can be times where you walk to the crease, you get cleaned up. The first one, your middle goes straight to a fielder. But he's not in that case in point now. He's just got that belief flying. And the only thing that you would say is in the T20 game is the only time we've seen it where it's been more difficult was in the World Cup, in the big grounds in Australia, where they can get underneath him, but they can't get it to carry. But on these grounds in India, you know, a lot of them aren't the biggest. If you have a look at it, especially these days with the boundaries that are brought in and the advertising boards, etc., etc. And these guys have got that ability to clear. So, yeah, he's in a great space. And I say that's their real sort of strong point, Kolkata, is that they've got 2 or 3 guys now. Run has come good as well. You've got those 3 guys. It's just at the top. How do they get themselves off to that fast start, that consistent start? And then they've got firepower. And a lot of bowling sides will be wary about coming up against them, even though they've lost today.
Absolutely. You mentioned Nitish Rana. You mentioned Nitish Rana as well at the start of the show. Rinku Singh's accomplice. In this match, he's done that previously as well. A captain's knock, 75. He's certainly been leading from the front this season.
Yeah, last game 45.
Yeah.
Now 75. He's building. He's building nicely. Mentioned at the mid-innings show that, you know, taking over as a skipper.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to separate what your skills are. Sometimes if your top order aren't firing, you go, right, it's my job. I'm going to do it for the top and for me. It's like, no. Just you play the way you play and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes just separating, going, hang on, I still need to do my job as a batter first, captain second, especially when you're batting.
Yeah.
You don't need to wear the captain's hat, so to speak, when you're batting. It's only out in the field. So I think he's starting to get a handle of those type of pressures. And, yeah, he's looking good. I mean, he has looked good for so many years now, but we really want him to have such a consistent year. And sometimes, and we've seen this at international level, players that are given that captaincy all of a sudden just go that extra level.
Yeah.
He might be one of those players.
I was about to say, you know, you talked about the fact that he's been able to compartmentalize both roles, know when to turn on the batsman-only switch. But as Lisa said, you know, there's some people who might crumble under the captaincy pressure, but based upon the 4 games that we've seen so far, it's certainly bringing out the best in him as a batter.
Yeah, it is. And you know, it reflects on your own performance as captain because, you know, if you perform well and your team wins, you know, it's a big plus for you. And I always said that I reckon most players in a team should be captain for a couple of games and also coach for a couple of games. And it makes them see the game from a completely different perspective, the responsibility-wise, what you expect from your players, what you want them to do. And he seems to have thrived under this extra responsibility. It wouldn't have been something he was aware of. But been thrust into the job. He's stepped up. I think the big challenge for him, though, will be how do we restrict them to under 200? And I think you need to be sitting and doing some thinking about what he says to his bowlers and the game plans that come up. But from a batting perspective, the responsibilities brought the best out of him.
Yeah. And someone else who's definitely stepped up is Aiden Markram and his boys. And if we take a look at their bowling card, Hyderabad conceding more than 200 in this match, losing by 23. Eventually, we had a few names who went for plenty. We'll start with Umran Malik because he went for 28 in the 6th over. But Lisa came back strongly in the final over and eventually, you know, saw Hyderabad through.
Yeah, it was an interesting decision, wasn't it? You throw the ball to the guy who's already been hit for 28 to bowl to, well, he didn't bowl to Rinku until I think, after 2 deliveries or so, 3 deliveries. So it was fine in the end. But I think the other thing to keep in mind of those bowling figures as well, like exceeding over 200 as well as Kolkata, is the amount of drop catches that we saw as well. So that obviously aided guys staying in a little bit longer and really cashing in. But, you know, I think if we look at the bowling card again for Hyderabad, they've got some good personnel. I mean, Marco Janssen is good when he doesn't go to the slower balls and he bowls hard length, as Polly was saying. Markande has been excellent for them. I think he's been the type of guy that they've really turned to. Again, Washington Sundar, no wickets, going at 10 runs and over. We mentioned that. So that is a concern moving forward. And maybe they'll need to look in that vicinity from a spinning point of view. You know, who else could they potentially turn to?
Yeah, when you look at those stats there, I mean, Bhuvi, I think he was superb his first 2 overs. I mean, he got the ball to swing around. He makes the initial strike. Marco Janssen picks up 2. He also got the ball to nip around. So that job done. Natarajan, I mean, I think he can do better at the back end. He hasn't nailed those Yorkers like we've seen him in the past. Umran Malik, I was surprised they brought him for that 6th over because pace on was what was working. That's the only blip I would think for Markram was to put him on then. It was pace on, last over of the power play. 2 guys set, he was always going to disappear. Markram 2 for 27. I mean, that's brilliant bowling. I mean, that's outbowled Nareen. And, you know, so I think they're all in a decent space there as well. I wouldn't be overly concerned. But this year has definitely been the year of the drop catch.
Yeah.
Hasn't it? I mean, how many have we seen in these first, 16, 17 games?
And a couple of absolute sitters.
Yeah.
There was a couple where they were running in, which should have been taken, and they misjudged. So Tripathi dropped it as well. So, and
we'll watch the space. I think it might be the year of the drop catch. We'll have to get the stats out.
And Hyderabad certainly primary contributors to that. 5 dropped in total. You know, I hate cliches. You avoid them like a plague. You see what I did there? But, I mean, catches win matches. And if you end up dropping 5 in a game, then who knows? The next time they do something like this, so they might not be on the winning side.
Yeah, so that's why when you look at the bowling figures, I'm conscious of the fact of the amount of chances they created, but their fielding team, you know, their teammates didn't step up. And they missed out. Just on Natarajan as well, he's been having that reoccurring knee problem. Hasn't played domestic cricket since October last year. So I think that's why at the back end he's just not quite right. He hasn't got that game sense going. He hasn't played a lot of games to be able to execute those Yorkers, which we've seen him do a couple of years ago under pressure. So hopefully for him and Hyderabad, he gets better as the tournament kind of goes through.
Also going back to the catches, I mean, I know when I was at Mumbai, we always used to try and stress the fact of you're part of the attack, even though you're just a fielder. Because sometimes as a bowler, you can't create opportunities. You can maybe just create a half chance like for a brilliant catch or build enough pressure that they take a risky single. And the team has to kind of understand that they're part of the attack and they have to step up. So when those opportunities present themselves, and when we look at these, I mean, Glenn Phillips was dropping. I mean, have you ever seen him drop the catch ever?
Gun fielder.
I mean, he's a brilliant fielder.
Tripathi as well.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is. I think fielders kind of settle in a bit more as the tournament goes on and they get comfortable under the lights or whatever it may be. But it's been a bit of a surprise as to how many. And sometimes you give the half chance. You say, well, that was a drop catch. There hasn't been. There's been some genuine, like, 2 hands to it, plenty of time to set yourself. And they haven't managed to take it. Yeah,
so I think it's fair to say that Hyderabad certainly need to do some soul searching when it comes to the catching, and Calcutta need to do some soul searching when it comes to their bowling. What could they have done differently, and what do you think they'll be looking to tweak going forward?
Kolkata?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to remember what...
Up front there, I mean, that first 6 overs of the power play.
Yeah, we have the bowling scorecard as well, because you see the economy column and you see double digits, in fact high double digits everywhere except Sunil Narayan, who was the only aberration.
Yeah, I think up front, if I'll jump in there, I mean, Umesh and Lockie aren't your kind of stock standard pressure building bowlers like a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. They kind of run in and try and be explosive. You know, Umesh, if it gets to shape on a particular day, but they had about 30 or 40 after 3 or 4 overs. So that was where they put under pressure. Shoulder to Kerr, maybe he needs to play more of a part. You know, I've seen him with the new ball. I've seen him do more of a role. Dre Russ, you kind of never know what you're going to get from him. Injury-wise, is he going to be able to compete? But, I mean, I like their 3 spin options.
The other option as well, and I'm kind of looking at what Rajasthan and other teams do. They've got guys that swing the ball up top, right? So maybe someone like a Tim Southey could come in potentially for a Lockie Ferguson, just because he is that guy that's used to the new ball and he can get the ball to move away from right-handers. He might be the option for them. The first game he got 2 for 54. He played the first 2 games.
Yeah.
So they may go back to him potentially if they want to pick up a few early wickets. I think
Umesh can get the ball to shape. I mean, I'm trying to think where I've seen him do it. I think there was a game in Bangalore. I mean, I know the ball swings nicely in Bangalore, that stadium. But he does have the potential. But I agree with you. Maybe just a little more control. I think Lockie's done such a good job for them over the years with his extra pace. So they might be a little bit loath to leave him out. But I do get that because the fast start means that these teams are posting over 200. and then maybe have a word with the curator.
Yeah, just
Mr. Curator, it needs to turn a little bit more,
yeah.
and maybe just stop it a little bit for us as spinners.
Exactly, especially when you're playing at home. You know,
And you got
present
three.
the best conditions
Yeah.
to
And three of them.
your three spinners. You know, we had that Cricbuzz Live question in the pre-match Cricbuzz Live show, talking about the opening combinations and the fact that both Calcutta as well as Hyderabad had company in the form of the other when it came to their opening woes. But I'm guessing after this match, Hyderabad seemed to have that sorted.
Yeah, I think they'd be happy with Harry Brooks and what he was able to do. And, you know, part of me was thinking, okay, maybe this was too much potentially for him, a step up. First IPL, hasn't necessarily fired. Is it too much for him to open? A lot of these guys were saying, no, this guy's an X factor. And I have seen him in like the T20 circuits and seen him in the test arena. But as we said, he just kind of stuck to his processes. It's a real belief that some of these younger players have. They go, no, my skill is good enough on its day. I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah.
And away I go. And, you know, sometimes a little bit of luck goes your way. I think he was dropped, so 45 maybe, and then was able to kind of really cash in. So, you know, credit to him, you know, and he got a chance just to kick back and put his legs up.
Yeah.
He loves this X
Youngsters.
factor, the impact
Sit on
role.
the
huh?
side. Sitting on the side after getting 100. Get involved. But we said, we said at the start of the show that there was more of a concern for Kolkata because of the amount of changes they've made over the last few years. They're still basically unsure.
Yeah.
Who's our best two at the top of the order? Whereas Sunrisers seem to have ticked that box and they'll probably run with these guys for a while now. I think still Mayank, they've got to get him firing. So, Brian, have a bit of time with him and sit down. But there's their performances, and everyone's had a go. You can see 31 of 26, 34, 41, plus a 74, 100 for Brook, a 37 not out of 50 for Markram. Sharma starting to find a little bit, 32 of 7, didn't play in 2 of the games. So there's enough. The glaring one, when you look there, is Agarwal. I mean, with the international experience, if he can just get himself a score, then as a coach, you feel that that's perfect. You know, everyone's had a thing where they've contributed, they've spent a bit of time at the crease, and you're bound to get 2 or 3 of those guys kicking in. So I think it's really important that they spend a little bit of time with Mayank and get into his head or space and try and find a way to get him firing.
And speaking about, you know, getting him firing, Paulie, if you were in the dugout and if you had a chance to actually speak with Mayank Agarwal, what exactly would you be talking to him about?
How long have we got? I think it's
plenty of
it
time.
goes down to, it really does go down to the basics of just getting a guy striking it as well. He's got such talent that if he gets to a space where he's just watching the ball, he feels like he's getting his hands and his bat into the right position, you give yourself the best chance. If you get a Jaffa, so be it. But it does feel like he's just like kind of coming down steep, cutting across it, trying to score square of the wicket rather than trying to hit straight down the ground. It's those little things, and sometimes it just takes that one knock. I mean, you talk about Harry Brook. Yeah. He walked to the crease there. He got some real juicy ones to put away in his first 10 deliveries. Mayank didn't really. And it can be, I mean, it can be as basic as hitting one-handed shots. You know, you can hit like 50 one-handed with the top hand, 50 with the bottom hand, and then you have a little net session afterwards and you think, oh, everything's working together. So they're never too far away. I mean, you only one score away, particularly with the experience he's got. If he's inexperienced and he hasn't played at the top level, hasn't done it against the best, then maybe you say, well, maybe he's going to struggle. But we've seen him. Yeah. So, you know, that's where I suppose the money's earned from the management. Behind the scenes, organise him a few good net sessions, get him firing, and your team's away.
Or sometimes it's not even practicing. It's just maybe watching a few like highlights reel of all of the good innings that you've had over IPL or against that opposition. And just kind of going, that's right, I can score runs. I used to score runs. Nothing's changed. I haven't forgotten how to play all of these shots. And we've spoken on this show a number of times. This game is so much in your head. It is so much in your head.
But it's often you give them something to focus on. So, for example, it can be a net session where you go and, I mean, you even can draw different colours on a ball. And you say, you get 4 balls in your hand. You say, okay, what colour comes out of the hand? Pick that up early, because sometimes as a batter you watch a space rather than the intent detail of the ball. Yeah. So you all of a sudden get a coloured ball and it's got colour in your red and like green and yellow, whatever it may be. And it just gets you to focus a little bit more into the ball. And then you think, oh, well, I'm seeing it clearly. Poof, poof, everything clicks into space. So as we say, it's never far away.
You know, this is what I love about Cricbuzz Live. We just got a a superb masterclass in cricket, in batting, in coaching from the Lisa Sthalekar and Shaun Pollock School of Cricket Coaching.
He's actually coached a hell of a lot more than me. Go with him.
That was absolutely brilliant. So with that victory, Hyderabad now moving up the table, and we'll take a look at the points table as well and see what things look like on the points table. Of course, you had, who was it up top? We had Delhi rock bottom. That hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed. They're still
This was
searching.
7-7.
Rajasthan,
Yeah.
right. Rajasthan up top, having played 4 matches, won 3, lost 1. Then Lucknow, Gujarat, Kolkata still up there with 2 wins out of 4 matches. Chennai, Punjab, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, and Delhi. So that's what it looks like. Yeah, but of course we've got a cracking encounter tomorrow as well. You know, the last 5-6 days in the IPL have produced thrillers every single day. And so we're getting spoiled. And I think there's no doubt that tomorrow's matchup between Bangalore and Delhi is going to be another cracker as well. This is going to be match number 20, played in Bangalore at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Should be a thriller, right? Goes without saying.
Good luck to the bowlers, that's all I say. I hope you enjoy going for plenty of runs. But certainly high-scoring affair, great ground for the batters. For Bangalore, Faf, 270 odds. He's looked good. He's come out of the blocks really fast. Maxwell, last game, 5 sixes. So he's humming along. But Bangalore still question marks over their death bowling, and maybe this is a chance potentially for Hasaranga to come in and kind of take over those middle overs potentially. So that means that the back end, they're not having to defend or kind of give away too many runs. They've taken some of the middle to top order of the opposition team out. So I think that's what Bangalore might potentially do.
Yeah, that's an interesting proposition, you know, potentially bringing in Hasaranga. Parnell played the last game, you had Willie playing the last game as well, and both of them having had decent performances. Who do you take out if you want to bring Hasaranga in?
It's tough. I'd probably go Wayne Parnell out, even though he's had an impact, because I think David Willey can give you something with the bat as well. So
Yeah, I mean, they've got Virat who's getting some runs as well in last game. I just think when I look back at their performance, we talk about it as a bit of a graveyard for the bowlers. The one person who kind of stood out for years there was Chahal, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And that was a leg spinner who wasn't scared of small ground, went out the ground every once in a while, but wasn't scared of giving it a bit of a rip. There's been very few fast bowlers who've gone down there and gone, look at me, look what I can do on this pitch and be successful consistently. So you would think the likes of a Hasaranga would probably have more chance of being that success when you look at what you've seen in the past. Massive game for Delhi. I mean, 0 from 3. Things can really go pear-shaped if you lose another one. So they'll be very focused on trying to turn that around. And I think it's an opportunity because when you're in that situation, you understand the importance of not being able to lose again. If Bangalore push the right buttons in the last first 3 or 4 overs, 5 overs, whether they bat or bowl first, Delhi start to think, oh, here we go again. And that's the opportunity to pick up points. And when you get to the back end of the tournament, you often look down to the bottom and say it might be Delhi there. Those are the games you have to win. Those are your bankers where you have to get those 2 points when they're in the current state that they are.
Absolutely. And I mean, lots of concerns, lots of problems for Delhi. Mitchell Marsh, one positive. He's back after his marriage. Hopefully the festivities were good in Australia, and congratulations to Mitch Marsh and his wife. But of course, concerns up top with David Warner. He's been amongst the runs, but not quite been the same David Warner that we've seen. But the bigger problem is Prithvi Shaw not quite firing this season.
Yeah, he's not firing at all, and that's been the concern for the Delhi squad, is their Indian batters haven't fired. David Warner has been the lone soldier at the top and hasn't had many guys around him, wickets falling, so makes it very hard. So I think Mitch Marsh coming back in will help, though he has got some peach of deliveries. My only concern was, I think maybe 4 or 5 years ago, Aaron Finch came a little bit late to the IPL. He was playing for Kolkata. He got a duck and duck, so straight after the wedding. So I hope, Mitch Marsh, you don't get a duck. You did get a gold in the first game of the IPL. Well, hopefully that's out of the way and you can score some runs.
I still remember last season, Devin Conway had a bubble wedding. He got married in the CSK bubble at the Trident Hotel, and the match that he played following his wedding was one in which he scored like a 90 odd or something. And he dedicated his Man of the Match award to his wife as well. So who knows, might just end up being the case with Mitch Marsh as well.
Just worried about the Aussies.
For reasons we won't get into.
Yeah.
But we'll take a look at Delhi squad again. And of course, lots of foreigner options. But Polly, if you had to pick your combination of 4 foreigners, assuming Mitchell Marsh is ready, he comes in and you select him, which 4 foreigners would you end up picking?
Yeah, I like the fizz. I like Nokia. And I would probably go Marsh and Warner, to be honest. Rovman, Powell, they've tried Rousseau, they've tried Powell. None of them have really set the world alight. And the fact that you've got an Australian captain, Australian coach, and they've seen the best of Mitchell Marsh, haven't they, over the years? So they kind of know what he's about. Whether they change it for this game or maybe just because he's come back, give him another game to settle back in. But I think those would be my 4. I think bowling-wise, those 2 have got lots of experience. Nokia, he can create wicket opportunities even on a small ground on that surface. The Fizz has got some nice skills to him. But I also think Warner hasn't been able to play with the freedom he wants. Lisa's right. He keeps losing wickets around him. And when you're just a player, you kind of think, oh, well, it doesn't matter, I'll carry on going. When you're the captain, you're going, oh, well, we have to post something to give myself a chance.
Yeah.
So it kind of maybe puts the shackles on you because of that extra responsibility. So if Mitchell Marsh can go away and smash it. And as a captain too, you do know your players and you know who you kind of depend on. So when you look around and you see Mitchell Marsh, you think, well, I've played in the Aussie camp, I've seen what he's done.
Yeah.
I think I can more depend on him than maybe the other 2. That might influence the decision.
I do think actually Chinnaswamy is one ground that could certainly get Prithvi Shaw and David Warner and all of those guys, because the ball just flies around.
Yeah.
So those miss hits, those half hits, those top edges, they go for 6, luck's on your side, and away you go. So if Delhi are to turn around their season, I think it has to be this game at Chinnaswamy. If they can't get runs on the board, if their batters can't score the boundaries, then there's real concerns, I think.
So you mentioned Prithvi Shaw. Are you indirectly hinting at the fact that he's your player to watch out for tomorrow?
Sure, let's go with that. If you'd like me to do that, sure, let's go. He has to get runs.
Sure.
No, don't.
I saw what you were doing. I saw what you were doing.
Here's my obligatory chuckle.
What about? I think there must be a little bit of frustration. Manish Pandey. I mean, the amount of places he's been.
Manish Pandey and Sarfaraz Khan.
Yeah.
2 players that just, especially Sarfaraz Khan, scores so many runs at Ranji Trophy. Just comes to the IPL, I think that 1 year for Bangalore, and then everything else has been nothing. But same with Manish
must be a little bit frustrated about it.
So your picks from Delhi and your picks from Bangalore?
I'm going Mitchell Marsh.
Mitch Marsh from Delhi.
Because I want to see how he goes once he's got married. So he's my performer of the day.
I'm going to go Aksar.
Aksar.
Yeah, I think whilst his batting is going well, I think he's only picked up 1 wicket. So he needs to have a bit more of an impact with the ball. Maybe there's an opportunity for him, and we spoke about the last game, him just coming up the order as well, potentially. But he's one guy to look out for.
And then for Bangalore, after not defending what they had on the board the other day, I think they are going to bring Hasaranga.
Yeah, he's
and
my man
therefore,
to watch.
I also want to watch him. I want to see how he goes. Chahal's been the most successful bowler there. I'm thinking he can do a Chahal job for them tomorrow.
On the same page?
Same page.
Beautifully complementing.
Make sure they pick him though. Send an email or something.
So it's a Super Saturday. We've got a double header, of course. So that was the first game that we talked about. But we've got another thriller, or at least a game that promises to be a thriller. It's Lucknow taking on Punjab in match number 21. A game that takes place in Lucknow. We'll kick things off with the away side. Punjab started the tournament well, but sort of fallen off the bandwagon recently.
Yeah, I think they'll be disappointed with how they went last night. They also got a little bit of the batting woes. It's kind of been relying on Shikhar at the top of the order. They've got a few other guys starting to fire, but there hasn't been enough from them. I think they've got a good bowling unit. I like that bowling unit. And, if they can give them some decent scores, we were looking for a little bit more from Sam Curran. What do they do from a team perspective? Rajapaksa hasn't quite kicked on. Short showed glimpses. do they say, Livingston, okay, you've had a couple of nets now. There's been a lot of hype around you. Please get in there. And
I think there's some reports that he may have picked up a niggle in the nets.
Again?
So he might not be available
dear.
for this
Okay.
this contest. Yeah.
Okay. So short it is.
Yeah, stick with short.
Same team for you, Lisa? Or any changes that you
Yeah,
that you see them making?
probably looking at the same. I mean, I actually thought Nathan Ellis did a really good job. But it's so hard, these 4 foreigners trying to fit in, and Kahiso is the type of guy that you want there because he's got that experience. He's been successful in IPL. So yeah, I can't see them making too many changes in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, Kagiso didn't have the best of games in the last match. It was his first game, but he got his 100th wicket, of course, a milestone. Fastest to get there. I think he beat Malinga's record by about 6 or 7 games, so a big distance. But did you feel similarly for Nathan Ellis, having played well for the first few matches and then, being replaced by Kagiso Rabada?
Yeah, I was surprised. I think Ellis has done nicely. But you do understand that they kind of need those runs, so that's why they went for the internationals to try and get those guys in to get the runs on the board. But I mean, KG is also one of those guys, he can have an average day, but then the next day often bounces back with something spectacular. So they'll be hoping for that from him. I think the Lucknow Super Giants, I think they're in a good space, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing nicely. And they're once again going to have to do a good thing. I mean, no Quinton de Kock, the fact that he's not getting in, I mean, is...
Oh, do you bring him in now? Because Carl...
I don't know. I mean, Stoinis has now
Myers
kicked on. Puran had a fantastic knock. Mark Wood's been brilliant for them. In place of Carl Mayers, I'm not so sure. I think he just got that one...
He had 2 kind of innings, but
in
he's
the last
got
2 matches.
13 and a duck.
Yeah.
So I think experiment done. This is a guy, Quinton de Kock is a guy that got you over 500 runs last year. I think at some point you've got to...
I just don't want to seem like a South African biased person. So
No. I would
get
for
him.
you.
I think
I'll say
he
it for
should.
you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And that's our person who we're looking forward to playing. So send an email to them that he has to play.
The other thing to keep in mind with Lucknow is there's been 2 home games, 2 different surfaces, 2 completely different surfaces. First game 190 odd, and then I think Sunrisers got 121, and Lucknow took 16 overs to chase it. So who knows what they're going to get, and I guess we'll get a gauge based on their team, how many spinners, how many fast bowlers. So if it's a turning track, does Mark Wood not play like he did that other game? So that might open up another space potentially. But
it's a good point. They keep it a guessing game. I think it was red soil for the first match, black soil for the second one.
Yeah.
The first one conducive for Mark Wood.
Might
the
be
second
pink
one conducive
soil tomorrow, who knows?
A combination.
They say variety is the spice of life, isn't it?
It's the unknown factor with that surface, isn't it? I mean, I think even from the time I played, you kind of knew Mohali was low and kind of skidded on. Delhi was similar. We've got more bounce in Mumbai, more turn, but we don't really know what to expect from that Lucknow ground, do we? So I suppose that is the conundrum. They've obviously got the planning, so they should have a better understanding about what's going to go on there.
Yeah, but one thing that you can definitely expect is a very fiery Gautam Gambhir, as you see him in the dugout in every single match. My producer tells me that the emails have been sent. Probably.
Good.
Yeah, confirming that. But you've already partially answered my next question, player to watch out for. You said Quinton de Kock, assuming that he plays, but your player to watch out for from Punjab.
Well, I was going to say Livingston because I really wanted to see if he would kick on.
Yeah.
But I suppose if Livingston doesn't play, they'll go again for short. And he's the kind of guy who has to get another big score there. The only problem for me is that I think he's well suited to striking in the first 6. It's whether he can take it on. So, I saw a little bit of him in the Big Bash because we were touring there at that stage, and he played some good stuff.
Highest run getter as well in the Big Bash, I believe.
Yeah, player of the tournament.
Player of the tournament.
Opens the batting.
Gun fielder.
Scored 100.
He opens the bowling. He opens the bowling a few times
and he
as well.
bowls in the power play, which is really quite handy. So he did get an over last game, I think. So they may start to see him as a guy that they could potentially, if it's turning as well, could use him.
I mean, there's Arshdeep Singh and there's KG. I mean, but we kind of always watching what they do. But I think from their team perspective, they need one of those international batters to try and come good. And after getting a decent 30 in the last game, I think they'll watch him and see how he gets on. I'm always interested to see if these guys who make a name just domestically can come into the IPL and kick on. It's often not the case. But having got that 30, he'll be excited about hopefully kicking on.
Yeah. So Quinton de Kock and Matthew Short. Lisa?
I'm going to go Nitish Sharma. I think an opportunity for him to really score some runs. And then Nicholas Puran.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Please share your players to watch out for with us as well. This was quite the amazing party that I had. Absolutely loved it. But before we complete proceedings...
Your producer just got in here and went, hey, remember
the joy.
factor.
In fact, Joy did. Joy just sent me a text saying,
did he?
hey, you can't miss me. Remember the joy factor question? And the question was, in his only test, his teammate hit a triple century. Incidentally, the teammate and another person to make his debut in the same test have all played for the same Indian franchise. Name this player. The hint is that this person took 3 wickets today, but the answer was up even before I completed the hint. Andre Russell and Chris Gale hit 3-3-3, and Darren Bravo, who has also played for KKR, made his debut with him.
Of course, Joy would know that, KKR. Of course, it's linked.
Well, the honesty of that is, I mean, it had to be something to do with KKR because it was Joy and KKR playing. But I wouldn't have known that Ray Russ had played a test match.
Yeah.
That would have been where I'd let myself. I would have known Bravo and I would have known Chris Gale. There you go. Thanks, Joy.
Thanks, Joy.
Making us look silly again.
But there was one person who didn't look silly, the person who actually gave the answer. And I think he, Rohit Sutrave, with the handle IMS Rohit18, seems to be a Rohit Sharma fan. Congratulations to you. I remember saying prizes for guessing the right answer. I don't know what the prize is.
Sorry, no prize.
Bragging rights at least.
Yes.
Bragging rights, respect, and the fact that, you beat all of us, right?
That wouldn't be hard.
Especially them, these intellectuals that I have with me.
we have to get to the bottom of how quickly that answer comes out.
Yeah, well, you do want seconds, I think.
we want this is minutes, I think. Yeah, minutes or seconds.
But Paulie, double confirmation, the emails have been sent.
Cool.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you so much, Paulie. And a big thank you to you as well for joining us this Friday night. But the party isn't done as yet. We still have an after party that starts tomorrow, leading up to the first of the 2 encounters that we have. Thanks again for having watched Cricbuzz Live. We'll be back on your screens tomorrow. Until then, take care, stay safe, cheers, and see you at 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Jaipur via Kota.
कृपया ध्यान आपो अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत लखनऊ जंक्शन
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವ ರೈಲನೆ
Hyderabad को 50 एक्सप्रेस कोलकाता स्टेशन नेताजी भवन कृपया ध्यान दें